one of the things that I do every evening is I'm grateful. Anita knows this. I just think of all the things that happen in the day that I can be grateful to Anita about. And it's just become just a normal thing now. And it's almost without exception. I just come up with just things. And, you know, often we have this habit, and we're going to talk about habits later, of focusing on what hasn't worked. But imagine if every day we focused on what did work, and the amazing things would come up and open up in our lives. So all of those who've got loved ones around you, just think, if we spent our time just acknowledging each other, looking for what's right rather than what's wrong, and being grateful every single day, how our lives would show up and open up. So moving on now, we're going to talk about the outcomes, and Anita's going to come and share now with you some stuff on outcomes, because this is now where it starts to get juicy.
Thank you for that, Avnish. So what I'd like you to look at is, first of all, where are you at right now in so many different areas of your life? And you have the Wheel of Life, you have that in your booklet. If you don't have your booklet, never mind, you can always draw up your own wheel on a piece of paper, and you can write some of the headings down. So there's two types of wheels of life. There's one for adults, and there's one that we've designed for young people. So if you're under 16 or you're 19, you're 18, going to university, see which one is the most relevant for you. But I think the green one is most relevant for young people to use for this activity. Okay, so once you've got your Wheel of Life, I want you to think on a scale of 1 to 10 for each of the different areas that are there. So for example, you've got learning, spiritual fulfillment, love, physical well-being and health, relationships, and so on. So the Wheel of Life has got lots of different headings, different areas of your life in which you can experience having a fulfilled life. What I'd like you to do is to consider where you're at feeling right now. And it's usually the first answer that comes into your head which is the right answer. So if you think right now with learning you're at an 8, that's probably right. So what you need to then do is, I'll show you here if you're not quite sure how to do this, but taking one of your, say, coloured felt tip pens. Avnish, could you help me with that, please? Can't seem to get that off. Oh, okay, let's try this. So for example, if you are an 8 for, say, learning, there's a number 8 just over here, and you can fill that out and you can shade that in. And that shows you 8. Now if for example in love you're at a 2, for instance, you could shade that in and that will be 2. And you'll see there's little dotted lines that mark. So if I could encourage you all to complete this now over the next minute, it shouldn't take you very long because it's the first answer that comes into your head. That would be great if you could all take part in that. So 1 minute to do this, please. Do it quickly.
Where you think, let's get into the shot. This is based on where you believe you could be and where you are right now. So this is where you create your gap of where you feel your relationships, your spiritual fulfillment, your learning, and so on, where it could be and where it is right now.
So it's a snapshot into your life right now. Where are you with relationships, with fun and enjoyment, with helping others? How do you feel about your work? Where do you think you are with your work? How would you rate yourself out of 10 right now?
So what you're doing right now is a bit of an audit of your life. And for me, this was one of the most powerful things that I did 20 years ago. And I got to see some stuff which hopefully you will see, for most of you, about your life.
And if you want to, you can hold your Wheel of Life up and you can show it on the screen so I can see how people are doing. Great. Excellent. Good. I really hope this is a useful exercise. This is something I do twice a year in my life so I can see where I'm at. Really good. Well done, guys. Can add colour to that. What I then go on to do is I take a look at the area where I know that it's quite low down, and I think, right, this is an area of my life that I really want to work on over these next few months. And then what I'll do is I'll set myself some targets on how to make the improvements and shift from, say, a 2 or 3 or 4, so that I can put things into action, so I can lift that and bring it away from the lower numbers. And that's the aim, I think. Because what you'll find is, this is a wheel of life. Gives you a big clue. Think about how a wheel can be or is designed to work, and how is the wheel designed to be.
So you'll see that, how many of you can see that the areas where you get pain potentially is the areas where your wheel is the weakest? So imagine that was the wheel of your life. That was the wheel of the vehicle that you call life. And if you imagine that spinning round and round, can you see some of the bumps? And it kind of may explain why you have bumps in your life, where you get pain, where certain things that you're doing are causing pain, because you're not focusing on those areas. You're focusing on the areas where you're good at, and what you've got used to is focusing on the areas you're good at. How many of you realise that you over-focus on some areas and under-focus on others? Raise your hands.
Somebody's asking if they can see the wheel again.
Yeah, can we put the wheel back on for a second?
By the way, you can get this wheel on Google. Just Google Wheel of Life. You can get your own. You can print off your own.
Yeah.
There's so many different versions that are available. You can even design your own Wheel of Life if you want to.
Okay, so this now, Anita's going to go through the next steps about outcomes now. This should start getting you to see the gap. What is the gap between where you are and where you want to be? It's kind of being a bit of a detective in your life right now and seeing, kind of where, as Anita said, where are the pains? And you start seeing it's because you're focusing on some areas versus others.
Okay, for this next bit, what I'd like you to do is just put this Wheel of Life aside for now, and we'll come back to this and we'll revisit this when we start setting your goals. So just for now, I just want you to put it aside so that we can just focus on the next task. Okay, great, guys. So, the next slide, please. Thank you. So we'll come back to the gaps in a second. Knowing your outcome, Avnish, you're amazing at telling this story. I'm going to invite you to come and tell this story.
Okay.
Alice in Wonderland.
I'm sure you can tell this.
No, I love the way you do it.
Okay, so how many of you read Alice in Wonderland? Anybody? So can you remember the time when Alice is walking down this path, and she comes to where the path forks out into two roads. She's at a junction, and she's not sure where to go. And there's a big tree there, and in that tree is a Cheshire cat. So the Cheshire cat asks Alice, what's wrong? And Alice says, well, I'm lost. And so the Cheshire cat says, well, where are you going? Where do you want to get to? And Alice says, I don't know. So the Cheshire cat says, in that case, it doesn't matter which one you take. That's really powerful, do you not think? That so often we come to junctions, to crossroads, we have decisions to make, and if we haven't worked out in advance what our life's about, it doesn't in some ways really matter the road that we take. And often in our lives, that's what we end up doing. We end up taking decisions or making decisions, not based on knowing our destination, but based on our current kind of left or right, what looks better, instead of knowing what our final outcome is. It's almost like, would you get on a plane and on the tannoy, the pilot said, fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. I have no idea where we're going, but it'll probably be nice. So let's just go. Yeah, you want to get off that plane, right? So how many of us are on our flight, our journey, without having set the destination into our GPS? And today's kind of about how do we really program ourselves, that destination, so really know when we come to those junction points, when we have to make those decisions, as Alice did, that she can ask the right questions, and then the Cheshire cat that's in our life can give us the right answers.
Well, thank you, Avnish. You always do that really well for me. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a story of mine, my own personal story, where I have found goal setting to be so amazingly powerful. So I want to share with you something that I've achieved over the last couple of years, about 3 years now. So it was a more of a long-term goal, but here's what happened. So 15 years ago, my mum one day said to me, "Anita, you will write a book one day." And she said that to me, and she'd been looking at my horoscopes, and she said to me that this is something you'll definitely do. And I looked at her thinking, there's no way I'm going to write a book, Mum. But the seed was there. She planted a seed in my mind. And it kind of like, now and again, I think about it. I'd love to write a book. You know, being an author it's a great thing. You know, I admire authors who have taken the time and energy out to write the book, to use their imagination and their thinking and their ability to write. And I was so inspired by that. So then, a few years back in, I'd say around about 2017, I decided that I wanted to write my book. And I wanted to write it by International Women's Day 2018. Now, International Women's Day is in March, and I think I more or less decided the year before that, November 2017, and I had this big goal, and I thought I could do it in 6 months. That's what I truly believed. I knew why I wanted to write a book, and I believed that I could do it. I really did. And this came from my writing skills in doing my masters or whatever. It was something was inside me. I knew I could do it. I knew if I put my mind to it, I could tell some really fantastic stories. And thank you for those of you that have bought my book, Voices from Punjab. But I was inspired by other authors, as I was saying to you earlier, and I was so curious as to what it would feel like for me to be an author. And I wanted to hear, learn, and share other women's stories as well. So I was really, really curious as I'd started to speak to more and more women about their stories. I was so inspired that I thought, what would it be like if I could write your story? And I wanted to give my time and my energy for something else. I wanted to make a difference in our family foundation, the Hemraj Gaul Foundation. I didn't want to just be able to, donate funds and visit some of the projects. I wanted to actually physically do something myself. So I thought, I will write a book because this could become our first ever charity book, that we could raise some funds for a charity project in India somewhere. And the best place I could think of was from Punjab, because that's where we're from. My mother, my father are from India, from Punjab. Avnish is also from Punjab, and the story of Hemraj Gaul Foundation kind of like started from Punjab with their Samaj and the programs that they do as well. So anyway, I decided that this is what I was going to do, to make a difference in the foundation, and I wanted to explore other women through the money that we would raise. So I wanted to give them a platform to raise their voice, to share their adversity and the resilience that they needed in order to overcome some of the stuff that had gone on in their life, coming from India and settling in the UK. And I wanted to also share my creativity with the world and be unique in my philanthropy. So can you start to see how that is my why I wanted this? So now I really want it so badly because I'd actually written it down, why I wanted to achieve this and why I wanted to write my book. And then I had to look at how was I going to do this? So here's my big goal. Here's my why. It's all very, very clear to me as to why I want it. And to be honest with you, I was really enthusiastic about my why. How was I going to do this? So I started to make a plan and I wrote it down. And then I enrolled all the people around me to help me because I knew I had to talk about my idea with other people. I couldn't do this on my own. And I scheduled all the interviews. I found out all the women that were born in India, born in Punjab, and they've settled here in the UK, and they've, given to the to British communities here, and they've made a big contribution, and they've made a difference. And I found all those women, and I used my co-author Asta, and I really hope Asta is on the Zoom today listening to this. And I shared my idea with her because I knew I couldn't do this on my own. I needed help. So I enrolled her into my idea and she came on board and we decided to do this together. So she gave me lots of ideas on people I could interview and we put it together and the idea just grew and grew and grew. Anyway, we got to the stage where I then started to really get serious about this. So I scheduled all the interviews that I needed to do, all the people that I needed to meet, and all the contacts that I needed to make. And sometimes there were people that I didn't even know of that I wanted to meet. and I would then ask them, could you introduce me to so-and-so? I'd really like to meet this person and do their interview. And so what started to take place was the shape of the chapters and the people that were going to be in this book. I checked my plan regularly. I reviewed it and I tweaked it regularly, because sometimes somebody would say, you know, I'd like to be in it, and they changed their mind, and all sorts of things were happening. So by tweaking it, I was able to, you know, not give up, keep going, and keep finding other people that I wanted to interview. I then started to set some really achievable and ambitious deadlines, because deadlines really, really help to keep you on track if you want to do something. And I also scheduled time in to write and edit the stories that were coming back. And this is really important, really making it a project that I was really serious about, and it wasn't just a dream. I completed the full manuscript, and then I worked with the publisher, and then I planned a book launch. And ultimately, that's how the idea from here came to materialize into something that was absolutely real. Throughout this whole process, though, and I think this is really, really important, this particular part, who was I being? And the way I reflect and look back, I can sincerely say to you that I was being really curious and really nosy at times. And I also think I was being creative, I was being authentic, vulnerable. I was sharing my stories with women. I also, in my introduction, I share my childhood with my mum. So my mum is in my introduction. I hope mum is listening. Later on, she's going to hopefully bring us some food so we can eat, and she takes care of us and everything. And you know, I'm so glad that even my mother-in-law is on this call. So I think she's on Facebook, because on Facebook Live, this workshop is also running, and other family members. And I was just being so open-minded, and I was also being a great listener. And I think that's a skill that I've had to really hone in on even more. I was being reflective and compassionate as I was writing these stories. And I think that's really important, that you're absolutely clear on who you want to become and who you're being throughout this process and journey. However, I had lots of challenges. So even though the book publishing was very late, it was in November 2019, the idea started in 2017, most of the obstacles and barriers and pitfalls that I could run into, I absolutely did. I lacked focus at times, and it reduced my productivity hugely. And I think that's what slowed the production of the book down. However, I kept bouncing back, and I kept on resetting my deadlines, resetting my targets, and just kept on going with it. The power of taking responsibility of your vision is one of the biggest things that has led me to having a successful outcome and really rejoicing. And what I want to share with you now is our book launch that took place at Foyle's Bookshop, which was in London. It's one of my favourite bookshops, and I wanted to share with the world, with everybody, with my family and friends, exactly what I had produced. So just for about a minute, I want to share this very, very quick video with you so that you can see how the idea has come out and materialized into this. Thank you. So today is the book launch of Voices from Punjab, and I'm so delighted. This has taken 2 years to produce, and it's just going to be an incredible event tonight, and it's the official launch so that I can celebrate with my family and my friends. The message from this book is that use the stories to inspire you, to help you overcome any adversity you might have in your life, any challenges that you might have, and to draw upon the strength and resilience that these women have had in their lives. I love the message I've just seen there from Asta, who is the co-author of this book, and she said, thank you for being my champion. Absolutely. I think it's so important that we champion other women to join in on our journey and to share the success. So what led on from there? I want to share something with you. It's a really important thing, I think. I think this applies to a lot of people. Studies have indicated that when you work on several things at once, that's called multitasking. And I know many people try to multitask because we are overcome with so many things that are going on in our life all at once. It actually lowers our productivity by 60% and our IQ by 10 points. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of like been distracting me in lots of areas of my life. So goals has really helped me to hone in on what I really want. So multitasking is a total myth, I believe. And I really had to build on my self-awareness about this, have lots of patience and become flexible and really be committed and focused to the task at hand. And I had to have the mental agility to deal with the challenges as well. But my why was so compelling, and I was left self-driven to complete it alongside Asta. We celebrated at Falls and we started to sell many books on Amazon all around the world. In fact, we sold and we shared and distributed over 2,000 books, and funds were raised to help support a charity project in Punjab, because this is a charity book, for Women Livelihood Programme. Now, I also in 2020, I had 4 book launches in Punjab planned. Obviously, we couldn't go because of COVID, but it was just so great. 4 amazing cities in Punjab we were going to do this book launch. Also had a opportunity to do a book signing with prominent entrepreneurs in E2E. So Shalini was my champion, and she really wanted me to do my book signing there. And I got in front of a wonderful audience, including the CEO of ASOS. That was it. And I was wow, this is just incredible, a great platform. I also had extensive radio interviews and media coverage. I also celebrated the grace of British Asian women from Punjab in the UK. And for me, that was one of the most important parts of creating this book. So if you have the courage to start, you have the courage to succeed. And now I want to share with you, you can see there on the slide, a picture of me with my book. And since then, I've been so inspired that I have written my second book, Voices from Gujarat. And over lockdown, I've been really busy doing this. And this will be published this year. So please wish me well that I get a really good publisher to get this published so that we can share these wonderful stories with the world. Now today, you've taken time out to create awareness and deepen your understanding, and to see inside yourself, to see that you have shown the willingness to observe yourself with unflinching honesty. And now it's time for you to set your goals for your life. Are you ready for this? I need you to do something, react. Are you ready for this? Fabulous, thank you. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at some pages in your booklet, page 6, 7, 8 and 9 in your booklet. Brilliant, excellent. Now you don't have to have the page of the booklet. You can write this down on a clean sheet of paper. But I want you to look at yourself honestly. You know, how are you going to set your goals? The more willing you are to see, the bigger our world becomes. Learning to observe our feelings as they arise rather than simply acting them out allows us to be more reflective, make intentional choices about how you want to show up in the world. So really think about that. How do you want to show up in the world? You're going to start creating your goals in a few minutes. And I want you to consider how you're going to create powerful and a compelling future. I want you to dive into your life, decide and design what your outcomes are going to be in order for you to achieve your higher purpose. They can be fun outcomes, enjoying life. What experiences do you want? What magic moments do you want to create? What are your ultimate financial outcomes? And also what you want to achieve overall in so many different areas of your life. So think about your wheel of life now. So get your wheel of life in front of you as well when you do this. And I want you to follow a 3-step process. So you need to stay with this process. So if you need to have a comfort break, please don't. Just hold on to this. Just hold with me for a few minutes, and so that you can really, dive deep into your life until we get to the end of this process. And what I want you to write down, and I want you to consider the different areas of your life, is I want you to write down, what do you really want? I want you to write down everything you possibly can. So be really free with your thoughts and be like a child. Create anything and get yourself into a state. Pretend you're a child without limits, because we all know that children have no limits. When they want something, they keep on saying it again and again and again. They don't think how they're going to get it. There are no barriers. There are no blockages. They just say it, and they announce it to the world. They announce it to their parents and to their family. I want you to consider, if you are absolutely convinced that you could not fail, what would they be? What would those things be that you want to write down, your goals? So I encourage you now to start thinking about this. Look at your personal development goals, your physical, intellectual goals, your emotional goals, your spiritual goals, your financial goals, the things that you want in your life, things that you can buy to give you joy and great experiences. Be really clear and specific, concise and open. I've shared with you my goal. Think about how I was very clear when I wanted to achieve that goal by. But I want you to write this down as fast as you possibly can. We're going to give you 10 minutes. And whilst you're doing this, I'm going to give you lots of questions to think about. Okay? If you've already started, that's wonderful. Start writing down your goals on page 6, 7, 8, on all those different areas. Now, you don't have to stick to that format. What you could do is you could just take a blank piece of paper and you can just start listing all your goals down. What do you want to achieve in your life? What do you want to do? And I'm going to give you lots and lots of ideas to help you to write this down. So are you ready? Because I'm ready. Great. Some of you are ready. Are you ready to write now? Okay. You can either write down on a piece of paper, be free flow, or you can write it down in the structure that I've given you on page 6, 7, and 8. Okay, here goes. You're going to write as fast as you can. You have, how many minutes? 10 minutes, do you think? Okay, 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes? I think we can do this in 5 minutes. You're all ready for this. You're all doing this. Ready, steady, go. As fast as you can. What would you like to do? Where would you like to go to? What would you like to create in your life? What skills or abilities would you like to develop? What are some characteristics that you'd like to develop? Do you want to express yourself? How do you want to express yourself? Do you want to be more confident? What are your business goals? What would you like your net worth to be? What job would you like to do? What school would you like to attend? Or which university would you like to go to? What sports do you want to play? So if you're a student, is there something you want to do at school? Clubs or activity? What do you want to master? Could it be chess? Could it be badminton? Could it be tennis? What are some character traits that you'd like to develop? What would you like to master? Is it painting, drawing, floristry, anything in art, sewing, knitting? In your career, what would you like to accomplish? What would you like to learn? Would you like to dance or sing, learn a new language? What experiences would you like to have? Where would you like to go? As the world starts opening up, which countries would you like to go to? Who would you like to meet? Who would you like to spend your time with? What teachers or gurus would you like to meet? What would you like to read? Would you like to write a book? If so, what would the book be called? What would the book be about? Would you like to write a fiction or a non-fiction book? Would you like to write your biography of your life? Would you like to present on radio or host your own podcast show? Would you like to be on TV or even star in a movie? Would you like to influence on social media? What would you like to raise awareness on? Is there a charity that you'd like to support? Would you like to volunteer for a charity? How would you give up your time, your energy, your ideas for a project, for a charity project? Would you like to lead in your profession? What role would you like to do? If you're a student, what would you like to be when you grow up? What profession would you like to enter? What professional groups would you like to join? Who would you like to network with? Who would you like to meet that really inspires you? Who would you like to be mentored by? And there could be many, many mentors that you'd like to be mentored by. In what ways would you spend time on yourself? What are your spiritual goals? What would you like to do to renew yourself? Would you like to attend a health and well-being retreat? How would you spend your time and your holidays? What would you love to try on holiday? Is there something new you'd like to try? Who would you spend your time with? Where would you like to go? What kind of ways can you enrich your life with new experiences? Would you like to live in a different country, or a new city, or a new town? Would you like to buy a new house? What would you like to give to others who are less fortunate than yourselves? What do you want to contribute to society? Do you want to give money, your time, your energy? Do you want to volunteer? What are your physical goals? What weight do you want to be? Who would you like to train with or be trained by? What eating habits do you want to implement? Would you like to manage your time more effectively? Who would you like to surround yourself with to shape your values? What characteristics do you show when people see you? Is there a concert or a play that you want to see? Do you want to have more cultural experiences? What values do you want to instill in your children? What kind of role model do you want to be for your children and grandchildren? What do you want to give to your children or your parents? And how will you spend quality time with your family? How do you want to spend time with your friends? Do you want to learn to make new friends? Do you want a maid or a cook or a gardener or even a driver so that you can do the things that you really love doing? Anything that is related to financial money, write them down. What are the things that you want? It could be a new car or a new house or jewellery. In which ways will you grow intellectually? Is there a course that you want to study? Where will you do this? What hobbies do you want to do? Do you want to try something new? What exercise classes do you want to join? What do you want to create in your family life? What do you want to achieve in your life? Okay, right. If you can stop writing now, please, everyone. Sorry, that's the teacher in me coming out. What I want you to do now is the second stage, the second part of this process, is to look at those goals, everything you've written down there for you. And I want you to prioritize these. So when will you accomplish these by? I want you to add a timeline to your goals. Don't worry about the how yet. Honestly, that doesn't matter right now. When are you committed to accomplishing this? And what I want you to do is I want you to write down one next to your goal that you think you can achieve in 1 year or less. I want you to write down 3 for 3 years or less, 5 for 5 years or less, and 10 for 10 years or less, or 20 for 20 years or less. So next to each goal, write down a 1, 3, 5, 10, or 20. Does that make sense? You can say yes, nod, so I can see. That's great, thank you. So just spend a couple of minutes just whizzing through the goals and just writing down the numbers. May I have some music, please, in the background? So if you can achieve that in 1 year, write down 1. If it's a longer term goal, write down 3 or 5, 10 or 20. Everyone, I'm just going to check in with you, writing the numbers down. So go through every single goal and just write down as many as you can. 1 for 1 year, 3 for 3 years, 5 for 5 years, 10 for 10 years, 20 for 20 years. Right. Still see people writing. That's good. Okay, guys, I think we're ready now. Right, moving on to the next stage. What I'd like you to do now for the next step is to choose just 3 goals that you said that you are going to achieve in 1 year or less. That's all you're going to do. You can put a circle around it, you can highlight it, you can underline it. Just pick 3 goals. And what I'd like you to do is in your booklet or a clean sheet of paper, you could take 3 clean sheets of paper and you can write down each one of those goals on each of those papers. So the one that we're going to focus on is the one that you're going to do in 1 year or less. And I'd like you to take a look at page 10 and 11. In your booklets, page 10 and 11. And with each of these goals, so you have 3 goals now, okay, just 3 that you're going to achieve over 1 year. And these are the goals that you're really, really committed to accomplishing. So take your top 3 goals that you're going to achieve in 1 year or less. So this year, let's say by 2022, on the 1st of January, you can look back and say, I absolutely smashed that goal and I did it. Okay, to take you to a whole new level of passion, pleasure and growth. That's what those 3 goals are going to be. They're going to be so amazing, those 3 goals, over this 1 year. What sacrifices are you willing to make? I want you to consider this because I want you to write down, why do you want this goal now? So each of those goals. Sure.
Didn't have numbers on them.
So It's in a table. Let me just show you. So you've got something that looks like this, which is, I think people can see that. You've got 3 tables and you can write your goals down in there, or you can just write it down on a piece of paper.
Just show what the table says.
So the table says goal 1, what is your goal? And then in the second box it says, why do you want to achieve this goal? So what I'd like you to do now is to write down why you want to achieve this goal. And I'm going to ask you some questions as you're doing this. So really, really inspire you to think about why you want to achieve this goal. So let's take a look at your goal. What are the sacrifices that you are willing to make? What will you have to give up? What habits will you have to give up? Sometimes we create a desire to something we don't truly want. So really look at that goal and say, actually, that's something I really, really want. Are you really committed? Next to it, write a paragraph or underneath it as to why you're absolutely committed to achieving this goal now. What will it mean to you? What will you learn? What will you share? And how much time will it create for you? What experiences will it create for you? Be crystal clear on your deepest whys to give you an unstoppable purpose. And you will start to establish a defined purpose that is more powerful than the collective sum of the petty problems and the countless obstacles you'll inevitably face. Why must you achieve this goal? I'm going to do a check on the time. Avnish, what's the time?
So it's 3 minutes past 1. So
3 minutes past 1. Okay, so we said 1 o'clock would be lunchtime. Look, we're running a little bit behind. Can I have your permission to continue? You're okay? I would say that that's it really. After we've done the why, where are we at now? I'd say about 5 minutes. 5 minutes, because I think this is really important. This will really get you fired up for your vision board. Now, if at any point you get a little bit stuck and you need a bit more help, in the booklet on page 10 and 11, there are a couple of examples. I've done an advanced version and I've also done a simple version. So if you think, actually, I'm not quite sure what to write down for my why or what a goal could look like, there's a couple of examples. Example 1 and example 2 on page 10 and 11. Do you want this goal because you want to have more vitality, more energy? And will it help you to fulfill your overall vision, purpose and legacy?
in terms of what they've got to do, so identify 3 goals, put them into the table. Let me just get the right page.
The table's on page 12. Here it is. There it is. Page 12,
Yep.
13 and 14.
So you've got 3 pages for 3 goals. And then why you want to achieve it.
Just why you want to achieve it.
Just why you want to achieve it.
Just why, that's it.
So the first 2 sections, what is the goal and why you want to achieve it? Is that clear? I think there was a question on the screen, so hopefully we're just answering that question.
Just identify your 3 goals, and then after that, underneath each of those 3 goals, write down your why. Why must you achieve that goal? You've got to do that for 3 of your goals.
Okay, we're nearly there.
You've got some examples in the booklet. And this is really important. This will really get you engaged when you do your vision board as to why you want something. Who will you be when you achieve this goal? Or who are you becoming? What will it feel like? What experiences will open up for you? What experience will you have as you start to achieve that goal? You can show that actually, that slide.
Okay. So Someone's asked, what does it mean by who am I being? So who am I being is about the person that you become. So when you do, for example, if one of yours was, I want to, do charity work, what will happen for you to do that? What kind of person will you become? Will you become more humble? Will you become more peaceful, more fun-loving, more calm? So have a think about the word being versus doing. Yeah, Karen says it's about who you show up as. So these are your characteristics, your personality traits. Okay? This chat's good.
It's good. Honestly, put down anything you're not sure about. Just write it on there. We can see everything.
Yeah. But we do want to go for lunch, so
we do. Yes, and we do want to start on our vision boards.
Start on the vision boards. Okay, so another minute.
Are we not doing
the why?
Yes, we're only going to go up to why. We're not going to look at how. We're not interested in that right now. Just what your goal is and why. And that will get you to think about, what kind of goals you want to put down on your vision board, what you want to achieve. And the why is really important, because when you start cutting out and sticking down pictures of what you want to achieve in your life, you'll start questioning yourself, well, why? Why do I want that? Why do I want that? And who you're becoming, like Karen shared there, who you're showing up as. For example, in my book, I was being curious. And put the word, what I am being. I was being creative. I'm being authentic. I'm being vulnerable. I'm being ambitious. I'm being open-minded. There's some words that you can possibly use. Okay, I think your why you can continue to work on during the time that you're doing your vision board, because as you do your vision board, you'll come up with more and more whys. Okay, should we move on?
Yep. So, setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible, as said our dear friend Tony Robbins, and I think I spoke about that earlier. So, the idea of setting a goal is that you start turning the invisible into the visible. It's like the analogy of the car. The moment you buy a certain car in a certain color, suddenly you see others around you of the same model and color. And similarly, when you set a goal, you start seeing the opportunities, the things that you need to do, the actions that you need to take in order to achieve that goal. So,
have we got time to get a share from Simon G? Or we can do that after lunch.
Actually, just very quickly, Simon G, are you ready just to share very quickly how you've used goal setting? If we can just get you on, if Simon Goyle, the guys can get her unmuted.
Are you ready, Simran?
We are running a little bit behind schedule, so if you could quickly share your journey of when you started goal setting and then the vision boards, and how you've used goals to achieve your desired results. The fast version today. Can you? There you go. So this is.
Hi,
Simran.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Yes, so I just wanted to share a bit about how vision boards have helped me. So I did my first vision board when I was 14. And I think at that point I'd always been sort of goal orientated, sort of with my dad instilling all these values into me and having done Tony Robbins. But I think doing vision boards was just a game changer, because for once in my life I could wake up every day and I knew what my purpose was. And even at that young age, sort of being a teenager, you'd wake up, look at your vision board and think, okay, I know what my purpose is today. And so I think that has really helped me. And so when I did my vision board for the first time when I was 14, I was kind of thinking, okay, I'll set some goals that are realistic. So I had my GCSEs that year and I was like, okay, I'll put, get A's and A stars as, achieve high, try to aim high. My dad was like, what are you doing? Like, just put the top goal on there. I was like, oh, maybe like 7 A stars and 4 A's. He was like, that's not the highest you can get, so why not just put 11 A stars? And I was like, well, I'm not clever enough for that. Like, I didn't think I had it in me. And I thought, well, like if I don't achieve that, then I'll just be sad. But I think the opposite happened by putting the top, like as a kid, you don't think about these limiting beliefs. I think by putting, the top goal, I could wake up every day and see that and know my bigger purpose for every day of my GCSE year. It was when I was working, it wasn't like because I had to, it was because I wanted to, because I made it into a game. It was like, treat it like a game, and every day was like, okay, what's the highest score I can get? And as long as you try your best, then at the end of it, you tried your best. I lived my best life that year, having my vision board, and in all areas of my life, not just work. So I knew every day that I was living to be the best person that I could be. And that was the first year that I did a vision board, and it was a total game changer, I think. And that's just one example of a goal I had. That was a very specific goal, a measurable goal, to get 11 A stars. So it's a really specific goal, but I think it's important to know that, like with vision boards, that goals don't have to be always like a certain specific, measurable, achievable goal. And that is one type of goal that can be really helpful. But for me, like one of my goals was to become more self-expressed. Like as a kid, I went through phases of being confident and then going really shy because I had a setback. And I wasn't always confident, and I think naturally maybe quite shy. So one of my goals was to be more self-expressed, and I put that on my vision board. And I think having goals like that, when you wake up and you have mantras going in your head about how you want to show up in the world and how you want to be to other people, I think that's a really powerful way to live life too. So that's just the power of vision boards for me. And really, why it is a game changer is that it's on your wall. You see it every day. It's not like a New Year's resolution where you set it once and it goes in the cupboard. You see it every day, and you show up in life how you want to be. And when you have a setback and you're not having the best day, you get up from it 10 times quicker, I think, by having a vision board. And that year, another game-changing thing for me was having a gratitude diary. So every night I would write down what I was grateful for that happened that day on a piece of paper, and I'd rip it up and I'd put it in a jar. So I had this big jar of little notes. And at the end of the year, just read through that, and that was really great, game-changing for me. So it just little mind trick to focus your mind on different things every day. So yeah, just wanted to share that.
Before you mute, Simran, thank you for sharing that. I think hopefully you've added a lot of value. You're very humble in how you share. I'd like you to share with everybody what you're up to now, where you are, how it helped you achieve where you are currently, and what your vision is for the future. I think you've held yourself back here. I'm going to give you a bit of coaching because I'm your dad, is that you sell yourself short. There's all these things that you're up for. You can make a huge contribution, a difference, and that you pull back. You have a fear of how you're going to occur for people. So what I'm going to ask you to do is give up that fear. I want you to let people know what you're up for, where you are currently, what you're doing, and what you're up for. Because doing that, you're going to make a huge difference, as you are already doing, to the world. Just fine. And they want to hear it, by the way. Do you want to hear it, guys?
Yes. Yes. Oh, wow.
So you want to know who I am?
Where are you currently? What are you doing? And what your future is, very, very quickly, yeah.
So I'm my dad and Anita's daughter. I'm 23. I'm studying medicine at Cambridge University. I've got 6 months left, so in 6 months I'm going to be working in the NHS as a junior doctor. Pretty stressful time, but I think it will be a really challenging and growing time. So I'm looking forward to it. Got the vaccine coming up in about a week, so that will be a good milestone, I think. So I think over lockdown I had a long period of time to reflect because I wasn't working at that point. And I really think about what's my life about. I was learning loads, reading loads, watching loads of videos. And so I made my own podcast and I did 10 episodes on there. A few people on this call today were on my podcast. And it was really great to just share ideas. And if you want to listen to it, it's called Untangled. So just type that in on any podcast app and you'll find it. Untangled by Simi G. And So that was really like the first step to sort of sharing my ideas and putting my ideas out there. And since then, I've created another podcast called Doctors for All with some friends. We talk about like global health issues, and we bring on doctors who are really, really pioneers in the health field. And I think one of the best ways to achieving your goals is by networking or getting in touch with people who you really admire, because a lot of the how and like how you will achieve a goal is just by talking to people. And that is one of the most powerful things, is just talking to people, because if you want to get somewhere, often you might not know how to get there at all, but if you talk to someone who's already got there, you'll find the way. So yeah, that's what I have to share.
Okay.
Oh, that's amazing.
Simon, thank you so much for that. There's so much you haven't shared, but because of time, otherwise I'd push you into so many other things that you're doing. But I'm just conscious of time. We've got to get into the vision boards. Thank you so much for sharing that. If you got value from that conversation in terms of what's possible in your life, and if you want to play a big game, listen to what Simon has said. You can really inculcate this into your life and see the results show up with the actions that you will take. And that's what we're going to do with vision boards. So what we're going to do now is it comes to that part where we are going to show you a vision board that we did, the very first vision board. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. So don't worry about getting it wrong. There is no wrong. This is how we've done it. You can do it whichever way you want. It is basically a pictorial version of your goals. And this is
2014.
It's the very first vision board that we did together.
This is just before we got married, I think.
Before we got married. So what we did as a couple, but you don't have to do it this way, we decided that we were going to do my section here, Anita's section there, and everything else around it was us. So this was our personal stuff, and this was us. So we cut out from magazines at the time. Now you can print stuff off, you can put words on, you can put pictures, and it's really to inspire you for what's possible. So what you want to do in the next hour and a quarter or whatever we're going to have now is to really, I hope you can see that, is just dream and dream big. One of the things that I got to see, and hopefully if you have put small goals down on your goal setting, upgrade them. Don't worry about the how, you watch what happens. The biggest lesson I had when I did this first time round, I put really small goals. And I was on a Tony Robbins seminar, and he was going around the room looking at all our, he said, stop. He said, guys, you're playing really small. And as Anita said earlier, if you couldn't fail, what would you want in your life? Then I started writing big goals. I wanted a Ferrari. I wanted the kind of house I wanted, the kind of lifestyle that I wanted. How many, my wealth, and I put loads of noughts at the end of it. I had no idea how I was going to achieve it. I just followed what Tony said. He said, dream big and just watch what happens, because you'll start taking the actions. And 20 years on, it's incredible. Thank God I went on that seminar. Thank God he gave me that coaching. So I really want you to start thinking. Just trust yourself. Right? I know there's the inner voice inside you that's saying, yeah, but don't worry about it for now. Just dream big and create whatever vision board you want. If you want to Google it, you'll see loads and loads of versions of that. And what we're going to do is you can have some lunch now, you'll be pleased to know, and start working on your vision boards. We're going to have a break. We're going to come back at 2:30, so you've got a little bit less time. You've got an hour and 10 minutes, but you've got the rest of your Sunday to finish off the vision boards after. But really, really make sure that you obviously have some food. Just move to the next slide. And that you come back for the last session, because as I said before, it's the last session that's the most powerful. After the vision boards, a planning section that we're going to do. We've got lots to cover in terms of goals. We're going to talk about actions, we're going to talk about legacy, and we're going to talk about yourself. Who do you become in that process? And we're really going to enlighten you further on that whole piece around yourself, because it's not about the goal. That's not going to make you happy, trust me. It's who you become in the process, and we're going to take you through a whole process after you've had time with the vision boards. So what we're going to do now, we're going to be playing some music. We're here. If you've got questions, we'll be here to answer those questions. We're going to grab some lunch as well. But if you've got questions, we can interact with you, any of you who'd like to talk to us as well. But for the rest of you, go and have some lunch, be with your families, and create these vision boards. Cut things out, print things off, all the words and so on. Put your names in it as well. Because you're at home, you've got access to printers, hopefully, and so on. So this is a fabulous way for you to do your vision boards. But this is my request. Stay focused. Grab a bite to eat, but do your vision boards. Don't go off and think I can go and watch some TV or go and do anything else. Really stay focused. This is going to transform your life.